In this video, I wanted to go over a full backtesting session using the 4-hour 1-minute strategy. So let's just get straight into it. Now, you have to bear with me. I am a little bit under the weather, but I really wanted to get this video out today. And the reason I wanted to do this is I will have some strategy specific videos going forward, but sometimes for me personally, I think the best way to learn is just to see the strategy in action. So what we're going to do is we're going to find a random month that we can just go through and backtest together. So if we generate a random number and we've got April, so then we're going to do April, and if we do, let's do in the last 5 years, so let's do 2020 to 2025, so it's going to be April of 2025, so just this year, so quite recent price action. So on TradeZella here, we're going to go to new session, April 2025, and we're going to trade on Great British Pound US dollar, which for me is the main pair that I am trading. I will branch out eventually and look at other pairs. However, when you are trading this way, even though we are trading every 4 hour and sometimes there is an opportunity to get into trades, I don't mind missing trades sometimes. Potentially I may look at, if there's no trade setting up on GU, then look elsewhere. But for now, I'm quite happy to just be trading GU. So it was April. No, to do the first, and then the end date is going to be the 2025 April, and then the 30th. So let's do a starting balance of, let's do 100k, like as if this was a 100k prop firm challenge, and we're going to go to advanced order straight away. We're going to do 1%, and then we're going to go 4 hour and split screen view. Hopefully a lot of you know this by now. This is how I like to trade. So 4 hour on the left, 1 minute on the right. We're going to delete volume, we don't need it, and we're just going to see what happens. So if we go to, I've got TradeZella set up where if we go to, it'll bring me 15 minutes before each 4 hourly candle. So the 4 hourly candles that I trade in the UK is 6 a.m, 10 a.m, and 2 p.m. So these settings that I've got set up for the sessions will bring me straight away to 15 minutes before each 4 hour candle. So if we go to Asian session, you can see that it brings us to 5:45. So what we'd be doing is we'd just be waking up now, getting ready to check the markets and see if there's any trading opportunities. So we can see that the previous hourly candle has closed bullish, so we will be looking to buy now that the previous 4 hourly candle has closed bullish, so we will be looking to buy when the new 4 hourly candle opens. So what we do is we get the Fibonacci tool. Let me just do this again, so I'm breaking everything down. So once we've got this 4 hour candle closed, so the 2 till 6 Asian session candle has closed bullish, we can see that there. So we get the Fib tool, and we start at the bottom because we are looking to buy. So we click, including the wick, and we drag this up to the top and just extend it out a little bit just so we can see where we're trading on the new 4 hourly candle. And we drag it to the top. So 0 is at the top when we are buying, the 0% level, and then the 0% level is at the bottom when we are selling. So if we double click on that, we can see that these are the settings that we've got for the Fib. So the reason I'm using the Fib is I'm not looking for price to pull back to any certain area before taking a trade. I'm simply using it as a guide for the target that I'm going for. So if we look at these, each zone of the Fib, we can see that this first green zone here, I'm always going for a 1-to-1 in that zone. And then if we get to this second zone here, I'm going for a 1.5. If we get to this third zone here, I'm going for a 1-to-2. And if we get to this fourth zone here, I'm going for a 1-to-3. So that has changed slightly on the last video. On the last video, what I was doing is if we get all the way down here, I was just looking for price to continue all the way back up there. Since backtesting this a little bit more, I've found that most of the time we're getting to around a 1.3, 1-to-3 risk to reward, and then potentially price is just dumping. So we're not always getting the target that we are looking for. But like I said in the last video, what I'm doing here is more principles as opposed to a strategy. So I'm just giving you ideas on how I trade this system so you can take this and run with it and find what works for you. Maybe you want to trade the hourly on the left, 1 minute on the right, you want to go for different targets, or however you want to trade it. I just wanted to show you this is what I'm currently doing. So now that we've got this bullish 4-hour candle on Tuesday, the 1st of April, we are just looking for price to continue up. So even though we are looking for price to continue up, we do actually want to see price start to make lower lows and lower highs. Now the reason for this is we want to give sellers an opportunity to push price down. So even though we are looking to buy, if we're just buying higher highs and higher lows, which is how a lot of people trade when they're continuation trading, we're not necessarily giving sellers a real opportunity to push price down. So if we break a high, then maybe sellers haven't stepped in yet. So by the time they step in, they may just push price down and get us stopped out of the trade. So we want to see bearish price action. So this is just showing that sellers are now in control of this 4-hour candle. Now we want to get to a point where sellers aren't able to push price down any further. So here you can see they are clearly in control. Now what's happened here is at 6:30, price has been pushing down massively. We can see that there. We've made the lowest point of the candle here. We've come back up to make a new higher low. Now, if we can hold this level with 1 or 2 candles and we break above this previous high, then I see that as momentum shifting back into the direction of the previous 4-hourly candle. So that is our bias. We are looking to buy based off the previous 4-hourly candle. So if we get this shift that we are looking for, then we are able to enter a trade based on this. Now, what I want to see is, I want to see price trigger us in fairly quickly. I don't want to see price start moving sideways. I also obviously don't want to see price come down here, because if you come down here, then it's just a lower low, lower high formation. But if we can hold this level now, have a couple of candles maybe, I want to see more than 1 candle before breaking the high. But if we can hold this level, then we're able to look for a trade. Now, what we want to see is we are in the 3rd zone, so we're going for a 1 to 2 risk to reward. Now, what I do with my stop loss is I use half and whole numbers. So this was a 2.3, but I'm just going to round that up to a 2.5. I'm going to put the buy order in here, and we're going to see what happens. Price is going to do one of 2 things. It's either going to push up, well, 3 things I suppose. It's going to push up, trigger us into the trade. It's either going to push down and we delete the order, or it's going to move sideways. And if we move sideways, I'm probably going to delete the order, because for me then momentum is potentially just stalling a little bit. We want to see momentum push price action straight up. So the buy order is in. Let's see what happens. So price pushes down, so there's no trade entry. So we just delete that original order, but now we can see the price is starting to do the same thing just a little bit further down. So lower lows and lower highs. We've then made this new low here. So if we don't break below this low and we come up and then break the previous high and we get that shift, then I'll be looking to take this trade. So let's see what happens on the next candle. Okay, so now I'm interested if we can break above this high to take this trade. So if we round this up to a 3.5, and again we're in that 3rd zone, so we're going for a 1 to 2 risk to reward. Hopefully you can see what sort of happened here. We've made these lower lows, lower highs. That original shift idea of there to there failed, price pushed down. So now the new shift idea is from here to here. So it is still just a new higher low shift. It just gets a little bit complicated when it gets a little bit messy like this. But the more you backtest this, the more you see these patterns. And I'm just happy to take this trade based off the fact that we've made all these lower lows, lower highs. We've failed to break this low. We've shifted. If we break above that high, we'll be triggered into the trade, which we do. Price pushes down and stops us out. Now what we can do is we can hold and look for another trading opportunity here, which again is in that 3rd zone. But what I tend to do is I tend to take 2 losing trades per zone and then 3 losing trades per session. So if I'm trading in the Asian session, if I take more than 3 losers, well, if I take 3 losers, I'll walk away. I also will only take 2 losers in one particular zone. So that first trade I did didn't work out. However, we are still pushing down, and we've shifted to give us this new higher low here. This is actually nicer than the previous one. So there's that shift. So now if we break the high, again, I'll be looking for an entry on this trade. We're going to include the previous wicks on this one. So it's going to be a 5 pip stop loss. We're going to go for a 1 to 2. Let's see what happens with this one. If we take a loser here, I will consider one more trade if we get an opportunity, but it has to be in a different zone. I don't like taking multiple trades in the same zone. So we're in the third zone here. This will be the second. If this lot loses, this will be the second loss from this zone, and I won't want to take anything else. So let's see what happens. So we don't get triggered into that one. Price continues down and pushes all the way out of our fib area. So there's no trade there now for the rest of that session. So all we do is remove draw-ins. Okay, so skip forward now to the 10 o'clock candle, which we closed bearish on the previous 4-hour candle. So we're going to measure the top to the bottom with the fib, like I say, 0% level always at the bottom. And we can just see what's happened. So from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. we pushed down. We did leave behind this huge wick, but either way we've closed bearish. So what I'm looking for is the reverse of what we've just had for that buy opportunity. So I'm looking for price to push up, which it's doing. I want to see price fail to push any higher, and then a new lower high shift, which we don't get yet because we can see that price is actually pushed up and created a new higher high. We have to wait for these patterns to emerge. So now we can potentially look at a lower high shift. Now with this one, this is a little bit further away than I'd like. So what I like to see is I would have liked to see the shift. Hopefully you can see what I'm talking about here. Higher highs, higher lows. I'd like to see a shift a lot higher up the candle here and then that push down. However, we are still in a position to take this trade and we can just put our stop loss above this level as opposed to the very top of this move. So we're in the last zone, which means we're going for a 1 to 3. So let's see what happens here. The sell order is in and we will see. So skip forward. No trigger yet, but we are holding that level. Okay, so we weren't triggered into that trade. Now what we're doing as well is I don't use sell stops or buy stops on live markets. I use market executions. So what I would have been waiting for there is for price to clearly break this low. That's why it's important that we market execution as soon as we clearly break this level. We might lose a few pips if we get in a little bit later, but it's so important that we clearly break that level, which you can see we didn't there and price pushed up. So we can delete that order. There's one thing I always do. I use market executions as opposed to sell stops and buy stops, because with sell stops and buy stops, we may have actually got triggered into that trade if we were using them just through spreads, but that's not something I use, so I wouldn't have been taking that trade. So here's another pattern. If you look on the line chart, hopefully see it better. Higher highs, higher lows. Shift from there to there. It doesn't matter that we are currently green on the 4-hour candle that we are trading. That's something that I used to wait for, but I've since learned by trading this way and backtesting this strategy that it doesn't matter what the current 4-hour candle is doing, as long as we get the pattern and we are in line with the previous 4-hour candle. So let's see what happens with this one. Put a sell order in, triggered in. And what I do when I'm going for a 1 to 3 is I do usually go break even if we get down to a 1 to 2. So we're pushing down here. Now I'd probably go break even at this point and I would take 50% off this trade. That's how I've been managing these trades previously. Some of you may want to go break even if we get all the way down here or whatever, but for me personally, I like to go break even once we get to around a 1 to 1. 1 to 1.5 usually, which we're just about to get to now. So I'm going to close 50% of this, which you can do on TradeZella, and we're going to hold until our original target of 1 to 3. That wouldn't have been close to a stop loss, that, unless you've got a horrible broker and you get triggered out there, but I can't see you getting stopped out there. We did get into some drawdown, but that's going to happen a lot. We're going to get stopped out a lot. It's just a trading strategy is just the way it goes. So let's see what happens with the rest of this trade. And then push all the way down to hit our target. So now I won't take any further trades during London session. So I call it Asian session, London session, and New York session. Asian session really I see from 6 till 10. I know that's not sort of how it is, which is a bit confusing, but that's just what I'd sort of label each session. And then London session is from 10 till 2, and then New York session is from 2 onwards. Now I won't take any trades now, so what I was saying before about how I'll take a maximum of 3 losers, 2 losers being in one zone, but what I won't do is if I take a winning trade, I tend to just walk away for the rest of the session then. So what I'll do now is remove drawings, and then we will go to New York session. And what's good about trading this way is what we can be doing now while we're waiting for the 2 p.m. candle to open is we can be going to the gym, we can be walking the dog, working, doing whatever we need to do, and just come back when we have a new session to trade. So with this one, we close bearish. We're measuring out the top to the bottom, and we're going to see if we get the exact same pattern. So we want to see price start to push up, which it does. If we get one more candle there, I'd probably take this on the break of that low. Now I did skip forward a little bit quickly, and I know that we break that low, but we can see what's happened here. 5 pip, and we need to be able to get to a 1-to-1 as well. So let's say that this price action happened further down here and we couldn't get at least a 1-to-1. I wouldn't go for this, but we can see what's happened here where price has been pushing up higher highs, higher lows. We then make the highest point of the candle here shift and make a new lower high. So if we can break below this low, which I know we do because I skipped forward too quickly, but we will get triggered into this trade, and we'll just go for a 1-to-1. Just a quick scalp, hopefully back to the bottom of this candle, so the bottom of the fib. Well, it's not quite the bottom of the fib because a 1-to-1 is only down to here. So let's see, I know we get triggered into this one, and then price pushes up, we get stopped out. So let's keep pushing forward, and then we get a pattern straight away after that, where we'd be able to take it if we break this low. Again, we're in the first zone, so we're just going for a 1-to-1. So let's see what happens. So sell order is in. Triggered in, price pushes down, and we get our 1-to-1. Now I probably wouldn't take any trades during the rest of that session because we've taken a winner now. So I'm going to go to Asian session, which is the next day, and we're going to refresh, reset the chart, skip through, and it's literally just this rinse and repeat over and over again. Hopefully you can understand what I'm doing. This is a new strategy for me, so I'm trying to explain it the best I can, which is not that easy when you're not very well as well, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. Obviously if you've got any questions, just let me know. But we get this lower lows, lower highs. I do see this as a shift. Now this one isn't quite as clear because we have got these bodies of these candles. However, for me, I do see that as a shift. Like I say, sometimes it's quite hard to explain the exact pattern, especially when I'm sort of new to trading this way. But the more you just look at the markets, you don't have to get TradeZell or anything like that. If you do, I mean, personally, I think it helps massively, but you don't have to buy it. You can just look at the charts and you will start to see these patterns happen all the time. So even though this isn't a clear lower high because we haven't got any gaps here, well, we have technically just here, just between these bodies and that wick, but I do just see this as a shift. So if we break above that high, then I'll be into the trade. Now this is the third zone, so we're going for a 1-to-2. So our buy order is in. Let's see what happens with this one. Triggered in and stop loss. So now we're just waiting for more price action. And we can actually take this again, lower lows, lower highs. There's the shift from there to there, where we fail to break below this level. So if we break above this level, we'll be able to take that trade. 3.5 pip stop loss, going for a 1-to-2. We're currently around break even. I know it says we're up, but obviously with spreads in that, we may even be down a little bit on this account, but that's the way it goes sometimes. So we keep pushing forward, see what happens. Price moving very sideways and stop loss. Okay, so let's keep going. Now this will be the last trade for me. Lower lows, lower highs, shift from there to there. If we break above this high, we'll be into this trade. 4 pip stop loss. This will be my third loser, so this will be the last trade that I take during this session, regardless, because even if it wins, I won't take anything else after it's taken a winner. So let's see what happens with this one. We're going for a 1-to-3, triggered in. Price is moving quite sideways. Doesn't seem to be much volume this morning. Okay, so that's a loss. So now we go forward to the London session. Okay, so we end up closing bullish on that candle. So measure out the bottom to the top. We wait for the new 4-hour candle to open, which is now. Now we have got lower lows and lower highs in here. It is a little bit messy, but I think if we can break above let's see if we break above here, above these wicks. We have to be able to get our 1 to 2, so we can come down a little bit. This isn't the best trade. We have to be able to get a 1 to 1, sorry, but I do see this as us pushing down. Now, if we can hold this level and we get that shift, we're in line with the previous 4 hour. Let's just see if we get triggered into this one. We may not. Okay, we did, and we got to a 1 to 1 pretty quickly on that one. So we would have been triggered in. Price came down. Okay. Well, yeah, bit of a weird one, that one, but anyway, we'll keep moving forward, and we will go to the start of New York. Remove the drawings, and let's see. So skip forward to the 2 o'clock where we close bullish. Measure at the bottom to the top. We have been making lower lows, lower highs. There was no shift here, so this was just price coming down, then just pushing up. We have to see a new low, higher low. Let's see if we get one. We got one a little bit further up the candle. We don't want to take that. We want to see something like this potentially. No, I'm going to wait for clear price action here. Lower lows and lower highs is what I want to see. Which I suppose this isn't my favourite pattern, to be honest. I just don't see that as clear lower lows and lower highs, but I think if you break above there, it's a big stop loss as well. I won't be able to get a 1 to 1, I don't think. No. I won't be able to get a 1 to 1 on that one, so we're not going to take that one. We're just going to see what happens. Hopefully we can start making clearer lower lows and lower highs than this. No, prices seems to be a little bit sideways. No, that's just moving sideways for me. I want to see clear price action, lower lows, lower highs, failure to break a low, and then okay. So if we break above here, we have been moving sideways. We start to push out. If we hold this level and break above, again, not an ideal entry. Price action just seems to be a little bit weird during this time, but if we break above there, we could get our 1 to 1. We're in the first zone. Let's see what happens. So we hold that level because we've got this wick as well now. I would actually bring this down a little bit more. I'd be happy to take a bit more of an aggressive entry on this one. If we break above, I just see that as the shift from there to there. So we break above this high. Let's see what happens. We don't, we push down. So let's see if we can get another entry here, which we do. So delete that original trade idea. Lower lows, lower highs. There's the shift from there to there. If we break above there, stop loss would have to go below here now. And we go for a 1 to 1. Are we in that second? By the time, what we're looking for is by the time we get triggered into the trade, what zone would be in. And by the time we got triggered into this one, we would be in that first zone. So we would just go for a 1 to 1. Let's see what happens. Triggered in. Price pushes up, and then there's the 1 to 1. So we go forward now to the next day, which is the Asian session. Delete all the drawings. Reset chart view. And I just do this over and over again. Skip forward. We end up closing bullish. Measure out the bottom to the top. 0% always at the top. And we have been making lower lows and lower highs. I see this shift from there to there. We do get a lot of these entry opportunities, so even though we're trading on a 4 hour, there is opportunity to get involved in a lot of trades here. If you don't see anything, or it just doesn't work out, then we can just look at other pairs. But for me personally, this is more than enough trading opportunities, just trading this one pair. So if we get triggered into this, we'll be in the second zone, which is a 1.5 risk to reward. Let's see, triggered in. Price pushes up, and then that's a win. So now we go forward to London session. We're clearly bullish here on Great British Pound US Dollar. It doesn't necessarily matter how long we've been pushing bullish or how big these 4 hour candles are. Potentially going forward, I may dial this in a little bit more, but I think when we are first trying and a trading strategy, it is good to get as much data as possible. So as it stands, I'm just taking these trades when they appear. I want to see a little bit more price action here. So lower lows, lower highs. There's the shift. If we break above there, hopefully you're seeing this pattern by now. I don't think we'll be able to get our 1-to-1 6.5 pips stop loss. Oh yeah, we are. No, what am I doing? Sorry, I haven't slept much because I'm not well. If we break above there, I still don't think we'll be able to get a 1-to-1. It's a 7 pip stop loss, which is quite big. Can we get our 1-to-1? No. So we will stay away from that and see if we get price action further down. That would have ended up working out. But I always say, if I can't get a 1-to-1, I'm not going to go for the trade. So we broke out the fib now. All we do is go to the start of New York session. We remove that drawing. We skip forward through to 2 p.m, which is there. Measure out the top to the bottom because we've closed bearish. No, we've got to wait for price action here. If we can build a nice level there, I've skipped forward too quick. If we can build a nice level there, break below here, we can have a tighter stop loss or around 8 pips, and I just see this as a level, so we can just put our stop loss above there. Now we are in the third zone, which means we're going for a 1-to-2. Let's get that accurate. Sell, and let's see what happens. Triggered in, price pushes down, and then a winning trade. So let's keep moving forward to, what session was that? So it was New York, so we go straight to Asian. This is what I'm saying. I mean, it's, you know, we have to be patient sometimes. I mean, to be honest, I've got into quite a lot of trades here. Sometimes we measure out with a fib, especially if it's a smaller 4-hour candle like this. But if we measure out with a fib, the top to the bottom, price is going to break out with a fib and it's just going to go. In which case, there's no trade, which, you know, either just come back 4 hours later when it's potentially another trade, or just look for another pair. I don't see the reason at this point to be trading any other pairs when, I mean, we're up 3,000 and we're on the 4th. So since, what was the first? The first was Tuesday, and we're now on the Friday. So that's plenty of trading opportunities to me personally. But obviously this is, like I keep saying, this is just principles. It's not a strategy. It's more about finding what works for you. If you're someone who wants to take more trades, trade different pairs, then obviously that's just your how you do it. And, you know, that's fine. That's just everyone's different when it comes to the trading. I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, so higher highs, higher lows, break below this low, sell opportunity, 4 pip stop loss. We're in the last zone, so we're going for a 1-to-3. Hopefully you can see why. Higher highs, higher lows. This is one of those shifts that's a little bit close. It's not a clear pattern, so sometimes we're going to see clear higher highs and higher lows like that, and then there's the shift. There's the shift from there to there. Other times it's going to be a little bit closer together like this. That's fine. We're not always going to get picture perfect price action. Let's see what happens. Our sell stop order is in. Skip forward and we don't get triggered into that one. Price pushes up. Now what's going to happen sometimes is, if we're really close to the fib, if we break out the fib like this, but we don't break out massively, I do still look for trading opportunities here. So there wasn't any trading opportunity there, which is a shame, because you can see that price did end up flying down. But for me, there's just no lower high shift there. What's happened is higher highs, higher lows, price come up and then just push down. That is going to happen sometimes. But if price breaks out a little bit like this, I would still be interested in taking a trade. If we push out all the way up here, then I'm no longer interested. It all depends on sort of your risk tolerance. Now, I might get asked, how far out do you look to trade? Again, this is just personal preference. You can sort of see the difference between maybe a few pips here that we've pushed out and price absolutely flying all the way up here. And then that's when we don't take the trade. So no trading opportunity there for me. We may push down and there may be a little bit more price action here. So let's say we start to make higher highs, higher lows here, and we get that shift. I won't be taking a trade now, because for me, that was the move that I want to be part of. And because I've not been a part of that move, I'm not looking to chase anything. So like here, for instance, here's a shift, but this is not something I would take, because this for me is potentially not revenge trading, well, potentially revenge trading, just because I wouldn't be angry that I wasn't part of that initial move, maybe a little bit, but I wanted to be in this trade. So if I wasn't in that trade, then I start chasing them all the way down here because I wasn't in that move, then that sort of FOMO, fear, whatever it may be, you know, that's when you start trading like that, and that's what I'm trying to stay away from as a relatively new trader. Now that would have worked out, but that's fine. I'm not bothered, because I'm more concerned that I didn't jump into a trade, because what would have been worse is, yes, I've lost a 1.5 there. However, if I would have jumped into a trade down here just based off the pattern, because I really wanted to, because I didn't get in on that move, then, and this trade loses all the way down here. So there was the shift, there was a break low, that was a trade. If this went like this and pushed up, and I jumped in because I didn't get involved in this move up here, that would have affected me. So I really wouldn't have been happy with myself doing stuff like that. So even though I've missed out on this 1.5% down here, I'm more okay with that than I am jumping into a trade that I know I shouldn't have, just because of the FOMO, or whatever you want to call it. So let's go to the London session and let's see what we've got. A huge bearish candle, a lot of selling pressure. Let's see what happens. We close bearish. Measure out top to the bottom. I think potentially we may just break out here, but let's see. Push forward, and yeah, when we break out, we break back in. But for me, that is quite a big candle, and I've said that I'm not going to focus on the size of the candles, but I just wouldn't be interested in that trade. We've missed out on all of this 4-hour bearish momentum. We've then broke below the fib. We don't want to force anything, so all we do now is we go forward to the start of New York. And now we'll potentially be looking for buys. Let's see how the last 15-minute goes. It closes bullish, so we measure out the bottom to the top. We want to see price hold this level. Now for me, the shift was actually there. I've skipped forward a little bit too quick here, because for me, this is that shift. This is one of those ones where we don't get that clear gap in the price action. However, this for me is considered a shift, where we've made this lowest point, we've come back up, we've made the new higher low. If we break above that high, which again I know we do because I keep skipping forward too quick, it doesn't matter anyway because the stop loss is too big. I'm guessing it was news. Yeah, it was. It's Friday, so there's going to be a lot of news during this time. But yeah, that is the shift for me. There's just no trading opportunity because the size of the stop loss is too big. So all I'm going to do is skip through. Now, I don't think I'll be able to get into anything now for the rest of the afternoon, simply because I'm guessing there is news, because that's a huge bearish candle there. 4 hours worth of price action, and it is Friday. So personally, I mean, no, there's no opportunity. I'd be walking away by now anyway, just because it's Friday at 3 p.m. So no trading opportunity there. That's all good. Let's go through to the start of Asian session. Let's remove drawings. And we just keep doing this over and over again. We're on the 7th of April now. Keep skipping through. Bearish candle. So we measure out the top to the bottom. Now instantly I think there's a trading opportunity here, because we've been pushing up, higher highs, higher lows. Here's another one of those shifts where it's sort of like continuous bodies. If we break below here on the 6 a.m. candle, we are looking to sell. Let's go 5 pip stop loss just to be a little bit safer with this one. And we are going for a 1, 2, 2 because we are in the third zone by the time we get triggered in, if we get triggered in. So let's see what happens. Sell is going to drag that a little bit further so we can see it. As he goes to about there. So we're right on the edge there, but we are still in that second zone. Let's see what happens. Triggered in. And stop loss. So we delete that. We can take another trade if we get another opportunity, even though we're not in the same zone anyway, because this is the next zone. This is the 1 to 3 zone. This is going to be our max stop loss size of 10 pips. And we are going to go for a 1 to 3. Hopefully you can see why. Higher highs, higher lows, shift from there to there. Let's see what happens. Triggered in. and out, so stop loss. Now I won't be interested in taking anything else because we've broken out of that zone. So now we want to go to the start of London. We remove 3 draw-ins. Price did under pushing down, so we are probably going to close bearish here, which we do. Measure at the top to the bottom. No trading opportunity yet. Let's look for price to start making higher highs, higher lows, which we don't do. It continues down. This is what I was saying before about how this can happen sometimes, and this is where you can potentially be looking at other trades, other pairs, or we just say that we're up on the account 1.6% and we just keep moving forward and we just wait. But obviously that is going to be different for everybody. So I'll measure out the top to the bottom. There probably was a shift in there, but it was a little bit too early because we will wait for that 4-hour candle to open. So let's keep skipping through. Let's keep skipping through. See what happens. We've now closed below, so no trading opportunity there. So that was just 2 losses for that day. Let's go forward to the Asian session. And let's keep going. Bullish candle. So we measure out the bottom to the top. 0% always at the top. 0% is our target. Include those wicks. And let's see what happens here. So price is pushing down, lower lows, lower highs. If we hold a level like this, no, there's this shift. It's not the cleanest, this one, but that is the shift. In fact, let's skip one back. So probably would have been triggered in on this next candle, so the break of that high. We're going to go 4.5 pips, and we are in the second zone. Yeah, second zone, so it's going to go 1.5. Buy orders in, we're triggered into that one, and stop loss. So then let's keep seeing if there's anything else. We're still in that second zone. Lower lows, lower highs. If we break above here now, that can be the trade. 6 pip stop loss. There's the shift, that higher low. Let's see, 1.5. Probably around break even on the account now, given commissions and spreads, maybe even down slightly. But that's just the way it goes. Okay, no trigger on that one. Price is pushing down. I just need to expand the fib a little bit, just so I can see what zones we're in here. Okay, so let's delete these 2 so I can see. Pushing down, let's see if we get a shift. We didn't. Price just ended up pushing up. Pushed all the way up there now. We've not broken out, so we can look for potential trading opportunities, even though I tend to try and get involved in like the first move. Lower lows, lower highs. This isn't particularly clear for me. We won't be able to get a 1-to-1 anyway, so no trade there. Let's see if we can start getting real clear lower lows, lower highs. Hopefully a little bit further down. Here we go. So just to give price an opportunity to sort of reset. Lower lows, lower highs. If we break above that high, we can include that wick as a stop loss. Can we get a 1-to-1? No. Let's see if we can get one more candle here and give us a level. No. We're quite close to the new 4-hour candle now. If we break above there, be our max stop loss. We have broken out of the fib, but only a little bit. We break above there. We've had these lower lows, lower highs. There's the shift. 10 pip stop loss. Go for a 1-to-3. Let's see. Triggered in. Price pushes up with go break even now and 50% off. So break even, 50 off. See if we can continue up. We're really close to the new 4-hour candle here, so let's see what happens. Price pushes down and then, yeah, we're break even. Well, we took 50 off, so a bit of profit on that one. Right, let's remove drawings and let's see what we've got. We've got this bearish candle. We end up breaking out, so no trade. So now we go to the start of New York. Remove drawings, skip through. Bullish candle. Got a really nice shift there as well as soon as the candle opens. If we can break above this high. So 9.5 pip stop loss. It's going to go for a 1-to-1 because we're in the first zone. We've had these lower lows, lower highs. There's the shift. Buy order is in. Triggered in. Price pushes up and then there's the 1-to-1. That was a little bit messy, that. I don't see us getting stopped out there. Be harsh if we did. But there's a trade. Keep going forward now to Asian session. Remove 3 drawings and we're just looking for a potential buying opportunity. So we measure out the bottom to the top of this 4-hour candle. The new 4-hour candle is open, the 6 AM candle. Price is pushing down, which is what we want to see. We want to see us hold a level, create a new higher low. Well, us to create a new higher low, then hold that level before breaking the high, which we don't get. We keep pushing down. Okay, so this is the shift. This is exactly what we look for. This is a really nice opportunity if we can break above that high. I'm going to do a 6 pip stop loss. Now we're in the second zone, so we're going to go 1.5. And let's see what happens. So we don't get triggered into that because we've now broken out with that wick. So obviously I'm cancelling this order, but I just wouldn't be pressing market execution at that point. I'm looking for another entry opportunity here, which we don't really get. We're still just making higher highs, higher lows. Now we want to make lower lows, lower highs, and then shift, which we sort of get there, but I'm thinking that that is going to be a huge stop loss. It is. So no trading opportunity. Let's keep going. See if we can hold a level. No, I don't see that. I did potentially see this is the shift, but that's not clear. Lower lows, lower highs. So there's just no trading opportunity there for me. See if we can get a shift here, which we get. I mean, this isn't necessarily lower lows, clear lower lows, lower highs. If we break above there, 9.5 pip stop loss. I mean, the shift is a little bit further away from this low, and that's why we've got that 9.5 pip stop loss. We're in the second zone, so this is just a 1.5. Buy order is in. Price pushes up, and then we hit take profit. Let's keep going now to the start of London session. I can only apologise, I'm not very well. Keep having like coughing fits, but like I say, I wanted to get this video out today. So let's see what happens here. We close bearish, top to the bottom, higher highs, higher lows. I do actually see this as a shift instantly. If we can break below this level, making higher highs, higher lows. If we cannot violate this high, and we just want to see really one more candle. So I'm going to put the order in because, like I say, this is what is quite hard with TradeZella. Because we're using market executions, we'll be able to just sit and watch. But what can happen sometimes is price may come up, give us another wick lower than this high, and then I would see the shift from there to there. And then if you break below this low, that's quite hard to do manually on TradeZella. So having it set up as a sell stop here and see what happens is the best way of doing it, and that's exactly what happened. And then price pushes down and we get our 1.5. so hopefully you can see what I'm sort of talking about there, where price comes up and gives us that wick, which is not that easy to see. But if you look at the line chart, here's a high, here's the new lower high, and that's why I put the sell stop order in just ready, because with live markets, I'll be ready to set market execution. So I want to see price push up on the 1 minute chart, give us that wick, and then break that low. So 1.5, and then we're going to go forward now to the start of New York, because I won't be taking any more trades during the rest of that session. Like I say, you may be someone who's happy to do so. So every single time you see a new shift, I mean, there's not really one there, but you know, you may be happy to, I mean, that's a really nice shift there. Price pushes up. That's absolutely beautiful. Actually, if we look, price pushes up, comes down, gives us that shift, breaks below that low, 6.5 pip stop loss, and then it'll be 1.5 because you're in that second zone. Beautiful, but just not something I would want to do. Once I've taken money out of the markets, I'll tend to just walk away. But what I'm saying is that these patterns are happening regularly, and if you're happy to stay in the market and take more than one trade, more than one winning trade, again, this is just decisions that you need to be making. So top to bottom, we're waiting for clear price action, higher highs, higher lows, which I'm not necessarily seeing yet. There was no trade there for me before price started pushing down. We could potentially take this. It's not my favorite. I would have preferred to be in a little bit higher up, but we technically get those higher highs, higher lows, and then failure to break above that high. Stop loss is too big. I'm unable to get into that trade. What we might be able to do is, if I skip back, because I was skipping forward a little bit quickly then, and also trading on the 1 minute charts, we've got to be quite quick. But here's the higher highs and the higher lows. We come down. Now if we break below that low, which I know that we do now, we would be able to get in because it's a 9 pip stop loss. So let's see what happens with this one. I know we get triggered into it. I was skipping forward too quick, but I do just see this as a new lower high shift, even though it's not that clear. Let's see. Triggered in, price pushes down a 1-to-1. Yeah, I mean, that for me is a trade. I just skipped forward a little bit too quickly, but we can see that we are making lower lows and lower high, well, higher highs, higher lows initially, come down, and there's the shift from there to there. Even though these are all bearish candles, we can use these wicks to help form that shift. That's why sometimes looking at it from a line chart perspective clears things up a little bit. But I do just see that as that shift. So that's that for that day. Go forward now to Asian session, remove 2 drawings, and we want to see what happens if we skip through. Price pushes up, clearly bullish, bottom to the top. Let's wait for lower lows, lower highs if we don't break out. So there's lower lows, lower highs. Again, this is one of those shifts that is just one candle. If we can get a wick again here, just like we did with the previous sell, even though this isn't particularly clear, I do see that as a shift, and we do have to be quite quick because we're on the 1 minute, but we can't get our 1-to-1. So there's no trading opportunity there for me. So let's look for something a little bit clearer. That would have worked out as well. That's the second time that I wasn't able to get a 1-to-1. I decided not to take the trade that would have worked out. Potentially that's something I'm looking at in the future. I mean, this is why I backtest so often, to be spotting patterns like that. So hopefully you can see why I see that as a shift. It's not particularly clear. I mean, again, this is just, it's just something you get used to and something you trade, and something I'm trying to explain better in each video, but it's quite hard to explain until you actually sort of get involved in the markets, and hopefully start seeing these patterns. I have got a Discord group that you can join. Link is next to the subscribe button. It'll just say join, where I'm trying to point these patterns out a lot more for people in the group. But yeah, until you sort of get involved and actually take these trades, it's quite hard to see these patterns sometimes. It's just the more you're backtesting, the more you see that some of these shifts where it's not a real clear higher high, higher low. What was that? Higher high, higher low like that, or lower low, lower high, but it's more of just a quick shift like that. Again, I'm not great at explaining that, but they're the patterns that I like to trade quite often, and I can see them working out more often than not. And like I say, that the second time that I've not taken a trade because we've not been able to get a 1-to-1 where prices ended up working out. So potential buy opportunity here. So lower lows, lower highs. This is a bit more of a clearer shift than the previous two. So I want to put the buy order in and see what happens. Triggered in. Price pushes up, and then there's the 1-to-1. So now we go forward to New York. And let's see what we've got going on. So bearish, are we? No, bullish. Probably news inflicted. I'm guessing there was some news here to push this candle. It was at 130. There's always, not always, but there's a lot of news at 130. Here's a nice shift already though. Lower lows, lower highs. There's the shift from there to there. If we can break above that. 9.5 pip stop loss, 1-to-1. I can't wait to feel better. There's the buy stop order in. We didn't get triggered in. Price ended up continuing down. Let's see if we can get another shift here. Not yet. Again, this is one of those ones. Okay, so we take this. Lower lows, lower highs. Break of that high. 10 pip stop loss. We're in the second zone, so we're going for 1.5. Let's see if we get triggered in. We're starting to move a little bit sideways. I'm going to delete that order because I don't like to see us move that sideways. I want to be triggered into that trade fairly quickly, which we didn't get. And then price continues down anyway. So yeah, no opportunity there. That's why I want to see us get triggered in much quicker. It just means that that momentum is shifting and we are now bullish in line with the previous 4-hour candle, which is exactly what we're looking for. I see this as shift, even though it's just one candle. We'll have to have a tight entry on this one to make sure we have no bigger than a 10 pip stop loss. So really tight entry on this one. I wouldn't just put the stop loss below these wicks though. I would include this lowest point because for me that's not as clear as a level to work with. So we're going to go 1.5 because we are in the second zone. Yeah. Buy order is in. Triggered in. Price pushes up and take profit. Okay, so that's it for New York session. So now we want to go forward to Asian session. We're now on the 11th of April. We're up 8,735. Let's see what happens. Skip forward. More of an indecision candle. What we do, close bullish. Just wait for lower lows and lower highs to be formed. Okay, so this is one of those ones where it's just bullish candles, but I do see that as a shift. 5 pip stop loss I think on that one, and we're going to go for a 1-to-2 because we're in the third zone, because the last candle was quite an indecision candle, so when we closed we're already quite far down on the fib. So we're in the second zone. Let's see what happens. We get triggered in. Price pushes down at stop loss. Okay, so we've now broken out, so there's no more trades there. The Asian session, so now we're going to go forward to London. Price did end up pushing up. We are bullish. Look how long we've been pushing bullish for now. Potentially this is something I'd consider going forward, but like I say, from a data collection point of view, particularly when backtesting a new strategy, it's good to just get involved with as many trades as you can, obviously within reason, not risking stupid amounts and using demo accounts first and those types of things, but just strictly from data collection. Even though we have pushed up for so long, I am happy to look for more buying opportunities here, even though, like I say, whether I would do this on a live account, just because look how long we've pushed up for, looking for buys after all this bullish momentum, it's sometimes not the smartest move. But either way, 1-to-1 risk to reward, 10 pip stop loss, lower lows, lower highs. There's the shift. Let's see if we get triggered into this one, which we do. Price pushes up and then we get our 1-to-1 just about, but we did get there. So now we go to the start of New York. Remove drawings. And we end up closing bullish. Again, look at all these bullish candles in a row. British pound really strong during April. Okay, let's see what happens. Look for lower lows, lower highs. We're moving sideways. We start to make lower lows, lower highs. Do we get that shift? Yeah, we do, from there to there. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of trading opportunities. We don't need to be looking at other pairs. Even though we're trading on a 4 hour, there is still a lot of trading opportunities. I can't get my maximum 10 pip stop loss there. And I don't see this as a level to put our stop loss under, personally. So there's no trade there for me. Price pushed down anyway. Now something like this is a lot better if we can get our stop loss, which we can't. So no trade, but I do see that as a really nice shift. Price pushing down there to there. Whether I'd look at increasing the maximum 10 pip stop loss going forward, that's to be seen. But for now, it works for me having a maximum of 10 and a minimum of 2. No trading opportunities here. It's Friday. This is why there's so much price action and price moves so much. It tends to on Fridays, which means that our stop loss tends to be too big and we just don't get those trading opportunities. Hopefully, I was going to say hopefully we can hold that level and break a high there, but we couldn't. Skipping forward, we close bullish. Measure out the bottom to the top. Let's do that a bit longer so I can see. Sometimes we get into trades quite early in the 4 hour candle, other times we have to wait. So no trading opportunity here. Lower lows, lower highs. There's that shift. Probably would have been in at the break of that high. In fact, let me go back because I would have been into that. Because we can see lower lows, lower highs. So at this point, what I'll be doing on the live markets is have an instant execution ready there. Stop loss 5.5 pips below. In the end zone, so we're going for 1 to 3. So the buy order would be ready as soon as we get triggered in, which is there, because we do break above that high. I would have hit market execution on that one. So let's see what happens. We push up to our break even area. So we want to set our stop loss to break even, and we're taking 50 off. And we continue up, and we got our 1 to 3 on that one. Let's go forward to London session. Let's see what happens. We close bullish. Price is pushing down. We want to see it a little bit clearer than it is. That's just moving a little bit sideways for me. We want to see, basically, when price is moving like this, it's just moving too sideways. We want to see these clear swings, lower lows, lower highs like that, for us to look for a trading opportunity. But when it's moving a little bit sideways like this, I just don't see it as much. Although saying that, we've now created this new low, and this is a really nice shift from here to here. It's a couple of candles. If we break above there and we can get our 1 to 1, 6.5 pip stop loss, we can get our 1 to 1, in which case I am going to round that up to 7. Buy order is in, just to be a little bit safer. We're going to go up to 7 there, see what happens. We don't get triggered anyway, price continues down, so we close that. But we wouldn't have obviously opened that in the first place. And then let's see what happens. Okay, so there's that shift again. If we can break above, I mean, there's no real high to be broken. I suppose we just break above of this candle. Put the buy order in there. 4.5 pips. We are in the first zone, so it's going for a 1 to 1. Buy order is in, and we are in and out, losing trade. Let's keep going. Was there another shift there? No. And we break out. Okay, cool. Let's go to start of New York session. See if we can get a trading opportunity here. We're going to close bearish. So we remove 2 drawings. We measure out the top to the bottom. See if we get an opportunity. We don't. We continue downwards out of the fib. So now we go to Asian session the next day and see what happens. 6 o'clock. We are bullish. So there it is. So now we're looking for lower lows and lower highs. No trading opportunity there. Price pushes out, but only a little bit. So I would still be happy to take a buy here if we get a setup. Simply because, yes, we've broken above, but only by 5 or so pips. So, yeah, I'm happy to take a buy here if we can break above. This is the shift. It's a bit of a weird one, this, but it is the shift from there to there. We break above. We've got a 4.5 pip stop loss. And we go for a 1-to-1. My order is in. Let's see what happens. Don't get triggered in. Let's get forward too quick. Don't get triggered into that one before price breaks below. So we delete the order and we just see what happens now. We continue down. Did we get an opportunity? No, I'm not seeing anything. It's 7:30, so we're still fairly early. Now price is just fairly bearish now. I'm just not seeing any trading opportunities. Price just continues up. Okay, we're going to leave the rest of that candle because there's not much going on there. Price a little bit all over the place. So we're going to go forward now to London. We're going to close that and we're going to see if we get an opportunity to buy because we are bullish. So this is what it looked like. See if we can start making lower lows, lower highs. Now we continue to push up, no trade. So now go to start of New York. Potentially going to close bearish. We need to skip forward the last 15 minutes, and we do. I'm going to do top to bottom. See if we can get a sell opportunity here, which we do. So higher highs, higher lows. There's the shift. 5.5 pip stop loss. In fact, let's go 6 on that. We're in the first zone, so it's going for a 1-to-1. Hopefully you can see that higher highs, higher lows, highest point, come down, failure to break above that high. If we break below this low, we get triggered in, which we do. Price continues down 1-to-1, so now we go forward to Asian session the next day, bullish candle. Let's measure out the bottom to the top. Price moving really sideways. We are bullish, but we want to see lower lows, lower highs before taking a trade here because we are really sideways at this point. Let's see if we break out or if we can come back down to then go back up. I mean, there's the shift, but there's no way I'll be able to get a 1-to-1 there. Look how close it is to the thing. There's another reason why do I always need to be going for a 1-to-1. As it stands, I like to be able to get my 1-to-1 target before hitting the fib, because obviously what can happen sometimes is price can come up to the fib, so the previous 4-hour candle's wick or body, and then reject. However, as you've seen in this session, there've been so many times where I've not been able to get the 1-to-1, so I've not gone for the trade, and price has continued up and would have been a winning trade. So that is something I'm going to be looking at in the future. But for now, let's go to the London session. Let's skip forward and see what we can do. We close bullish. Still so strong at the minute, the British pound. In April, I don't remember it being this strong, but it must have been. Okay, so pushing down. Not the cleanest. I don't like this wick up here, but if we break above that wick and we get our 6.5 pip stop loss and we go for a 1-to-1. There's the shift, so lower lows, lower highs. Look at the line chart. Sometimes it's more clear on the line chart, other times it's not. Buy order is in if we break above that wick, which we do. Price continues down, and then that is a stop loss. And then did we get a trading opportunity there? No. Okay, so here is another buying opportunity in the third zone. So this will be a 1-to-2. Lower lows, lower highs, shift if we break above there. We're going for a 1-to-2. See if we get triggered in, which we do. Price continues up. Now, I personally don't manage trades at a 1-to-2. I only really manage trades when we're in the end zone, so there'll be no trade management here. we just got to let it play out and see what happens. And we ended up taking a stop loss on that one. So let's now go forward to New York and let's see if we can get into anything here. We close bearish. We want to start to see higher highs, higher lows. Okay, let's keep skipping through. See if we get a trading opportunity, which we do. I've skipped forward too quick again. But we can see that we're making higher highs, higher lows. We're looking to sell based off the previous hourly candle. We're in the second zone. We'll go for a 5 pip stop loss on this one. By the time we break that, we would actually be in the second zone. So it's going to be a 1.5. And we skip forward too quick, but we know that we get triggered into this one because price does break that low. And let's see what happens. Quite a lot of drawdown there and now, but I don't think you're going to get stopped out of that unless you're not with the best broker, I wouldn't have thought. And then we continue down, so we get the 1.5. I don't think we would have got stopped out of that. We would have got into some drawdown, but I mean, obviously the backtesting is completely different and we're only about a pip away. I don't know, we can only go off what we can see here. Sometimes spreads can be horrible on live markets. Anyway, straight to Asian session. And let's see what we've got going on. Bearish currently. We end up closing bearish. Measure out the top to the bottom. 0% is our target. Imagine if I wasn't recording. 80 minutes. Okay, so higher highs, higher lows. I need to zoom out a bit here. I can't really see what's going on. Okay, so there's the shift. I've skipped forward too quick like I always do. But there's the shift there. Pushed up, made this highest point. We're going to go 3 pips stop loss. I do like to go a little bit higher where possible, just to be a little bit safer. But look, there's the lower high here. So after this bullish pressure, shift from there to there. We'll put the sell order in. We are in the second zone, so we're going for 1.5. Triggered in. Price continues down, and then that's a winning trade. So now we're going forward to London session. We're currently up nearly $12,000, so we would have passed a 10k, 100k FTMO challenge. We would have got that 10% on phase 1 during this month. Obviously, backtested this is compared to live markets is a lot harder. Obviously, your emotions get involved in those types of things, but objectively, the more we can backtest, the more we can just take these trades when they appear, try and keep our emotions out of it. More likely we are to be able to replicate these results on live markets. I'm just looking for an entry opportunity here, which we get. Break above there. Price is pushing down, 7.5 pips. Price pushing down, failure to break below here. Shift to a new higher low. If you break above that high, we're in the first zone, so we're going for a 1-to-1. See if we get triggered in, which we don't. Price to me now is just messing around too much. I don't like to see all of these candles. I want to be in within the first couple of candles. I do actually see that as a nicer shift anyway. So after these lower lows, lower highs in here, if we break above there, we could include that one. I'm going to go like that as the trade. 1-to-1 buy, see what happens. Triggered in. And stop loss. Okay, let's keep going. I've moved the fib there. Let's keep going. So we want to see clear lower lows and lower highs, which we are starting to get now. That was going to be a nice shift if we could have held it. A little bit more sideways than we'd like. Let's be on max stop loss as well. We'd have to go to 1.5 because we're in that zone. Lower lows, lower highs. There's the shift. I mean, it's... yeah. Not my favourite pattern, this one, but I'm just trying to take these trades, get the data, and just see what happens. So price pushes up, and then yeah, we end up hitting take profit on that. That was just before the new 4-hour candle opens as well, which looks like we are going to be bullish. So now we measure out the bottom to the top. We're looking for lower lows, lower highs. It's literally just the same thing over and over and over again, which could potentially, for some people, I mean, not for me because I love it, but for some people potentially see this as sort of boring. However, 12,495 in the space of, we're on the 17th now. Obviously, like I always say, these backtested settings, but we can just see that the opportunity is there. Anyway, let's keep going. We broke out of there, so there's no trades. We're going now to Asian session. We're getting there, people. We're on the 18th now, and we're just going to keep on going forward. Price is really weird here. What is going on? Top to the bottom, we're looking for sells, but we want to get away from all these wicks. We want to see some clear higher highs, higher lows before looking to sell this, just because this is a mess. I don't like any of this. We want to see clear higher highs, higher lows here. This is just, what are all these wicks? Sometimes you'll find with TradeZeller that data can be a little bit strange sometimes. I'm guessing that's what some of those wicks were. But anyway, we tried to push up here, failed. If we can break below this wick, I mean, to be honest with you, whether I'd stay away from this on live markets, I potentially would, just because it looks a bit odd. But like I say, this may just be the data from TradeZeller, because sometimes it has to update and it can just be a little bit strange for a bit. But for me now, if we break below here, we've broken out of this area, we've tried to push up. If we fail to push up and we don't go sideways, then there's potential the price may go down. That's literally the whole strategy from a 1 minute perspective. We're in the first zone, we continue up, so no trade, delete that. That is a lower high shift there, again a little bit messy, but we can see lower high. If we break below here, we're looking to sell based off the previous hourly 4-hour candle, even though we are massively bullish on Great British Pound US dollar at the minute. We're not looking for long-term swing trades or anything like that, so it doesn't matter that we are clearly bullish on the Great British Pound at the minute. We're just looking to be in and out within a few minutes. So let's see what happens. If we can hold that level and not break below, something weird is going on here. Triggered in, price pushes down, and then take profit. So now we go forward to the start of London session. Hopefully price clears up a little bit. Yeah, quite weird. Okay, so bullish, bottom to the top. Let's look for lower lows, lower highs. Not very clear. We've still got these wicks, but if we break above there, lower lows, lower highs, there's that shift. Let's just drag the fib out a little bit further just so I can see if we can get our 1-to-1, which I think we can. We go 3.5 pip stop loss. We're in the first zone, we're going for a 1-to-1. Let's see if we get triggered in fairly quickly, which we don't. Price is moving really weird here. I mean, eventually we would have got triggered into that one, it looks like. But I like to see us get moved in, get triggered in much quicker than that, and we are just moving so sideways. Let's wait for some clear price action here. Yeah, I don't quite know what's going on with these wicks. I do think it's potentially a data thing on TradeZeller. But obviously this is the month that we've picked on the random number generator, so we can't do anything about it. These are just the wicks. Okay, we're going to move forward now to New York session. Hopefully get out of all this nonsense and see what's going on, because it's just making it a little bit more complicated to see the pattern that I'm trying to see when we've got all these wicks. But anyway, let's see, pushing down. May have to be a little bit more aggressive here with those wicks involved. I mean, I'm potentially missing trades. Yeah, I mean, there's not much going on. I really don't like how this is unfolding. I can only apologise for this, but this is, like I say, this is the month that we chose here. There we go. See, it looks like we've got out of that whole wickage thing. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's see what happens. We close bullish. If we can get lower lows, lower highs, we'll be looking to take a trade. We do push out. No longer interested. Let's keep going now to London. Let's clear some of these drawings. See if we can start making lower lows, lower highs. We don't. We break out too much for me. So now we go to New York. We close bearish. So we measure out the top to the bottom. We're clearly making those higher highs, higher lows already. We're looking for a shift, which we've already got. So if we can break below here. We are in the, I'm going to go 5.5 on that. We're in the second zone, so we're going for 1.5. Triggered in fairly quickly. We would have gotten some drawdown there. Again, I mean, we're taking a stop there. Depends, broker by broker is different. I mean, we can't do anything. What else can I say here? I mean, this is what happened. Potentially would have got stopped out. Some brokers would have stopped you out there. Others may not have. That's just the way it goes. Let's keep going now. Asian session. We close bullish. Bottom to the top. Wait for those lower lows, lower highs. No shift there. See, if we would have got a nice shift here, it's such a beautiful trade, but no shift. So now we go forward to London session. Bearish. We're clearly making higher highs, higher lows already. So if we can get a shift, which we do, I do consider this as a shift, even though it's just wicks. It is a lower high in my opinion, especially if you go on a line chart perspective. There's a lower high. I'm actually just going to round this up to 5 because some of those wicks recently. Let's go to 1 to 1 because we're in the first zone. Triggered in and out before price continues down. All good, that's going to happen a lot. We keep moving forward for a potential trade. I've just skipped through one, sorry, but we can see higher highs, higher lows. Go to the line chart, higher highs, higher lows. We then have another one of these shifts. Oh no, 4.5. I know we get triggered into this one. In fact, I think it wins pretty much straight away. I can only apologise. I keep skipping forward too quick. Let's see. Yeah, in and then winning trade. Okay, so let's go forward now to New York, where we close bearish. So we want to remove these 3 draw-ins. It looks like we're going to get a trading opportunity straight away. Top to bottom. If we break below this low, we can see we have been pushing up. And then we are in the second zone, so we're going for 1.5. There's the sell. Triggered in. And I'm hoping those wicks don't start showing up again. How far is that away? See, this is exactly why I backtest so much, because potentially seeing these wicks, and obviously considering live markets, should we start going half a pip up to make sure that we've got that clear space? so we're not going to get stopped out with some of these. Some of these we may have, obviously, some of these we may not. But anyway, let's go forward now. We're on the 22nd. Let's go forward to the Asian session. And let's see what we can do. We're going to keep skipping forward. We're bearish, so we want to reset the view. I mean, it is more of an indecision candle, but we can see that we've closed bearish. So we measure out the top to the bottom. And we may be looking at a trading opportunity already if we can hold this level. Okay, so we're not breaking above there. If we can now break below this low, I'm going to go 4 because of the wicks recently. We're in the second zone, so we're going for a 1.5. And we continue to push up, so we delete that order. Let's see what happens. Okay, I thought we may have a trading opportunity there, but price seems to be continuing up. We're at the very top of the fib now, which is sometimes where the best trades can come from. But I just don't see a trading opportunity yet. If we can get a new high, no. I mean, we would have been able to get a 1 to 3 there at some point if we had a trading opportunity. I mean, that's a really nice shift. The only thing for me is I just see this as just a lower high as opposed to a push up. So price has been pushing up. I mean, the actual shift was all the way down here, but we're not taking a shift that's so far away from the highest point. So there's no trade there for me. But then we do have this nice shift after it, but again, we're just pushing down, and that's what I see here. Price is just making lower lows and lower highs. We don't want that. We want to be trading after price has tried to push up. So no trading opportunity there for me, but we're really early in this 4-hour candle, so we can see if we can get something, especially if we can come back up to that area again. Okay, so here's the shift. If we can break below here and our stop loss isn't too big, 7 pip stop loss. And we would be in the second zone, so we'll be going for a 1 to 2. Triggered in. A little bit later in the move now. We wanted to be part of the first few sell moves, really. Yeah, see, we get stopped out of that one. Ideally, this is like the trade from earlier on. We want to be part of the first move, not further down here, really. But either way, that's a stop loss. So now we keep moving forward to the London session because we've broken out of the fib. Let's just skip forward because I'm not sure if we're going to close bullish. We do, I guess. Yeah. So now we go from the bottom to the top. And we don't get an opportunity before price breaks out. No bother. So now we go to New York. Let's see if we get a trading opportunity. Bearish. Top to the bottom. We have been pushing up, but there is no shift there. I mean, with the shift, obviously, we want to see price come down here and then respect the area as opposed to then break through it, which it has done here. So that's not a valid shift. So let's see if we can start making higher highs, higher lows, which we do, and then we get that shift. See how this one has respected this area, because even though we've technically broke above it, we've only broke above it with a wick. So we want to see the wicks, we want to see the bodies stay below where the shift is. So 1 to 1, see if we get triggered in, which we do. And then stop loss. Okay, so we keep going, see if we get another opportunity, which we do. Keep skipping forward too quick. But here's another one of those shifts where we've respected it with a wick. We're going to go 6.5. We're going for a 1.5 because we're in that second zone. See what happens. Triggered in and then continuing down for a 1.5. Let's go to Asian session, April 24th. Let's go to, okay, so measure at the top to the bottom. We're looking for higher highs, higher lows. Failure to break above, shift. No opportunity there for me. This is potentially a shift. The only thing with this one is I like to be part of that first move, like I say. I also don't know if we're able to get our 1-to-1. I think we will be able to. Yeah. Higher highs, higher lows. Lower high shift. If we break below that low, not my favourite trade, but we have to take it. And then stop loss. Yeah, I didn't like the look of that one, but okay, let's keep moving. I mean, we've already tried to push down. I would have preferred, I mean, the move that I took, I didn't like the entry too much from the pattern perspective, but that is where I want to be getting into the trade quite early in that push down. We're a little bit later now, we're pushing up. But if we get the pattern, we're going to take the trade, especially while we're trying to collect data. So again, whether we'll be getting stopped out of this, one thing I'm learning just from this backtesting session is to be giving ourselves much more breathing room with these stop losses, because that is very, very close. And some brokers may stop you out there. So I'm definitely going to be rounding up a pip or two on the live markets. Anyway, let's go to start of London. We measure out the bottom to the top. Let's see what happens. Okay, so no shift there for me. I mean, well, yeah, there is a shift, but look how far away it is from here. We want the shift to be much closer to here, because by the time we break that high, this isn't really a low to work with, so we would have to include these wicks. So it's going to be 6.5, and we're not going to get our 1-to-1 before hitting the top of the fib. So yeah, no trade that for me. And we've broken out. So now we go forward to New York. We remove drawings. We see what happens. We end up closing bearish, but only just very, very close to an indecision candle. But let's keep moving forward. We're pushing up. There's the lower high shift there. We could take this, I suppose. Break below there. No, we're still going to have to go 4 pip stop loss. Okay, yeah, we can take this. Again, something about it isn't ideal, but let's go. I mean, we have been making higher highs, higher lows. Shift. Not too clear, but the opportunity's there. Higher highs, higher lows. Yeah, I'm not my favourite pattern this, but we'll take it. Again, what I'm doing currently is more from a data collection point of view. As well as that, with these videos, I am trying to get involved in as many trades as possible, just so you guys can see the actual thought process and the patterns. But some of these, yeah, they're just not ideal setups. Anyway, let's keep going forward. We're nearly there now. It is 6 there, so we measure out the top to the bottom. That's a really nice shift already there, but we're just unable to get involved because it happened just before the new 4-hour candle opened. Higher highs, higher lows. Let's hold the level. I've skipped forward again. Higher highs, higher lows. We hold that level. If we break below here, what's the stop loss looking like? Because potentially we can go more aggressive. That's okay. That's not too bad. 4 pip stop loss. We're in the first zone. We're going for a 1-to-1. Triggered in, and then we continue down. Okay, so now let's go forward to London. Is what I'm saying about I tend to just take one winning trade per session. I don't see the reason taking anything more than that at this stage. So bottom to the top. See if we can start making lower lows, lower highs. Which we did, but we didn't get a shift. I mean, that's a shift there. Not ideal, this one, but there's the lower lows, lower highs. There's the shift. We're going to go 5 pip stop loss. We're going to go 1-to-1. Buy. Triggered in. And stop loss. Okay, let's keep going. and then price pushes up, but again, no shift here. Let's leave the rest of that candle, and let's go to start in New York, where we close bullish. So we're removing 2 draw-ins, measure at the bottom to the top. Okay, so there's the shift. If we break above there, stop loss below here, 8 pips. We would be in the first zone by the time we take the trade. If we get triggered in, which we don't, we continue down. There's another shift, we can take this one. Break above there. This one's our max stop loss of 10. And we are in the second zone, so we're going for 1.5. Buy. Triggered in. Price continues up, and then there's the 1.5. Okay, so now we go to Asian session, and this is the last day. So let's skip through. Bullish candle, bottom to the top. I think we've already broken out. We have only a little bit. Let's see what happens. Yeah, we've broken out too much there for me. So now we go to London. No reason to force anything. We did actually come down. And that's what I like to look at on the live markets. We did, after we broke out, come down. I was looking if there's any shifting opportunities here, because we came, is what I'm saying. That's why I quite like using the fib, because price does retrace. And if we get an entry opportunity somewhere around here and follow it up, back up to the top of the fib, that is mainly the theory behind the strategy. So we close bullish, and again we're going to break out by looks of things, which we do. So no trading opportunity, and we go to New York. We remove draw-ins. We close bullish, potential trade here because we're not going to break out, well, immediately like we have done on the previous. I mean, here's a new low, so technically, I mean, no, I just don't see it personally. We want to see clear lower lows, lower highs, not just one low, which is all we got there. So no trade there. Let's keep going, see if there's any entry opportunities, which there is here now. So there's lower lows, lower highs. There's the shift. If we can break above there, we get our, we're gonna go 7 because of wicks. Can we get our 1-to-1? Yes. Let's see what happens with this one. Triggered in. Price pushes up, and then there's our 1-to-2. So we're now at 20,000. What a month this would have been. Now let's go to start of Asian session, but I think that's it. No, there's not. It's another day. That's all good. Let's keep going. So it looks like we're going to close bearish, which we do. Bearish, just wait for price to start making higher highs, higher lows, which we're not quite getting yet. See something a bit clearer here. Something like this. So higher highs, higher lows. Let's skip back one. I skip forward too quick. But higher highs, higher lows. There's the high. There's the shift to a new lower high. We can include the top of that move. We're going for a 1-to-1 because we're in the first zone. Triggered in and out. Let's see if there's anything else during this 4-hour candle. I mean, the more we get those moves down and I've missed out on them, the more I'm likely to just leave the candle. I'm not as keen on getting involved in those moves down when I've already tried to move down 3 or 4 times. So for me, I'm not going to take anything else during the rest of that candle. Okay, so we close bullish, so we're looking for buy opportunities. We're now at the bottom of the candle, which is where I like to trade from sometimes. I'm just looking for... Oh, it's broken out. Okay, no trading opportunity there. Let's go forward to New York. Let's remove the drawings, and we just need to mark out here with the fib. Once we close, and we close bearish. So top to bottom, we're making higher highs, higher lows, so we want to see a lower high shift here, which we sort of get. It's just a bit of an odd pattern. I mean, these are these sort of continual shifts, I suppose. It's only one candle pullback. Yeah, I mean, we could potentially take this. We're in the second zone, third zone, so it's going to be a 1 to 2. Let's see. Triggered in. Price pushes up. Okay, so stopped out. And then we're a little bit late now in the day, so I wouldn't be taking anything else. So let's go forward now to the Asian session, and I think that's it. It is. So let's go into view detailed report and be able to see the breakdown. Okay, so a profit of $18,501 with a win rate of just under 60%. We took 49 trades, and if we look at some of the reports, we'll be able to see this in more detail here. So average winning trade was 1,327, with our average loser being at 1,000. I mean, we are going for a 1-to-1 on some of these trades. Max consecutive wins was 7, max consecutive losses was 3. Average hold time is 15 minutes, so obviously it's a scalping strategy. Even though we are using the 4-hour, we are using the 1 minute for our entries, so we're in and out much quicker. 14 winning days, 5 losing days. Our best performing hour is the afternoon session, so New York. So we took 16 trades during New York and we made 14,000. Our worst performing hour was at 6 a.m. So Asian session, going into the London session, we took 13 trades there and we lost $2,745. So this is what the calendar looks like. So all of these green days obviously were profitable days, and then the red were losing days, and then blue was break even. So yeah, that is it for the backtesting session. Apologies, I'm a little bit under the weather, and I would have had to cut some of the coughing fits out of the video, but hopefully you got some value out of me going through this full session. I will be doing more of these going forward, but I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.